What is Spider-Man's favorite brand of rice? Uncle Ben's. Thanks for stopping by my YouTube channel for today's Comic Book Editions video. We'll be featuring Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man today. I hope you enjoyed the books that I'm showing enough to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That means the world to me. And if you already are subscribed, thanks. Sharing this video on this channel with someone is a great way to show support. The algorithm loves it when you give the video a thumbs up, a like, and a heart. And I love reading your comments, so at the end of the video, I'll be asking what you thought about the books that I'm going to share today. I have half a dozen books that are run fillers from Volume 1 of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. Most of these books are from 1981. Let's get started sharing. We begin with Stern and Byrne. Volume 1, Issue 58 is where we begin with today's video. Roger Stern was the writer for this issue. John Byrne did the art, cover, and interior. You can't go wrong when you have that great John Byrne classic artwork, I think. So once again, 1981, this story, Spider-Man takes on the Ringer. So the Ringer was looking to get a new improved costume from the Tinkerer, who was a villain that Spider-Man battled in previous issues. And he got caught and his workshop kind of got impounded by the police. I think that happened in issue number 53. Well, he breaks into the Tinkerer's workshop and finds that his suit has been completed. So he takes it. He tries it out. He learns how to navigate the new suit and takes on Spider-Man. Spider-Man is like, who are you? You know, he's like, are you some type of noob? I've never heard of you before. This is not the Ringer's first appearance. He reminds him, too, that he's even fought a group. He's fought the Defenders, which actually happened in the Defenders number 51. Plus, behind the scenes in the shadows, we have another character who's intently watching their battles and seeing what the Ringer is doing right and what he's doing wrong, which plays into the next issue, which is issue number 59. First of all, let's take a moment to be in awe of this awesome Bob Wiacek cover. If this looks sort of familiar to you, it's an homage cover. It's an homage to Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1, issue number 10. So there was a TV show called In Search Of, which was like a documentary show in the early 1980s. Leonard Nimoy hosted it. He hosted it. And he hosted the show. Well, they kind of do a parody of this with this TV crew wanting to do an episode on Spider-Man. But they need new footage. So they're going to head to New York City to try to capture new footage of the wall crawler. And even the host of this documentary series talks about how he used to be an actor in a science fiction type TV show. So it's definitely Leonard Nimoy-esque vibes intended with that. So they head to New York and they end up finding Spider-Man taking on the Beetle. The Beetle is the character that was in the shadows in the previous issue that I just mentioned. Well, now he comes out of the shadows having seen how the Ringer did, what his successes and failures were in fighting Spider-Man, and he takes on the wall crawler. The story was written by Roger Stern with the interior art by Jim Mooney. I love these Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man comic books. It's amazing to me, for the most part. There's a couple clunkers that you've heard me talk about in the past, but for the most part, all these decades later, these stories still hold up. Plus, they're very affordable and easy to get into the collection. They're not really that hard to find. Let's keep moving on. Issue 60 I don't have. So that's one hole in the collection that I need to work on. But I was able recently to get issue number 61 into the collection. Ed Hannigan did this cover. And now creative team is Roger Stern and Bill Mantlo together writing this story. So we have Moonstone as the villain. She has broken into Kurt Connor's lab to grab, I believe it was a rock that's going to be able to enhance her powers. And many times they make reference to the fact that Moonstone is an established villain, at least a little bit, as she has fought the Hulk and Captain America. And I think with the Hulk, she fought him in like an extended storyline from issue 228 through 233. Then she made one appearance in Captain America in issue number 230. And they reference that a few times in there. You know, she almost, even though she's on the cover, she almost, to me, kind of gets lost a little bit in this cover with the giant spider. The silhouette of Spider-Man in the back is really where my eye draws to the most. But not a bad story overall. One thing that I really like about these stories, while there's a continual storyline, there's a lot of standalone stories. Meaning like continual storylines, the supporting characters, what's going on with them will keep, progressing. Like Flash Thompson or Marcy Kane or Deborah Whitman. And these are all, sub-characters that I actually kind of really enjoyed. And except for Flash, I wasn't familiar with the other two female characters until I started reading this series. But that's what I like about just Bronze Age stories in general. You can look at the big scope, the big picture of things and enjoy it. But if you just want to, zero into one issue, you can still understand what's going on and appreciate what's happening. Now we have issue number 62. Bill Mantlo writing this one, Ed Hannigan doing the cover and interior art. So Peter Parker has gotten a grant to do some experimentation on some gold and, the properties of it, like if you heat it up with a laser or related to stuff like that. So he's brought all this gold to this university, which has been known to the villain of the story, the big baddie, Goldbug. So Goldbug heads to the university to kidnap, or not kidnap, but to steal the gold rather. And of course, because he's stealing this gold while it was being worked on under these laser lights and it's not in the most stable condition, he's actually not doing himself or his fellow henchmen any favors when they start transporting that too, which as Spider-Man's able to track it because of that reason and the residue that's being left off of the gold since it's been heated up with Peter's experiments. And they find out, their health is definitely suffering for it because they stole it at the wrong time. This one was kind of an okay story. Probably out of the issues that I'm sharing with you today, probably my least favorite one. But still, it was an all right read. I definitely have read worse stories. They all can't be home runs, but it still, for me, was enjoyable. We're up to number 63 right now. So I started collecting Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man when I was a child. And I had a lot of issues, always enjoyed it. When I got back into buying back issues as an adult collector, this was a title, I got a few here and there, and all the ones I always got, I was like, that was really good, that was really good. And so many were really good. And then, a year and a half ago, I had this chance to get a whole bunch of them at one time, which I broke into several installments in several different months, Spectacular Spider Hauls videos here on my YouTube channel. And the more that I started being exposed to this series in one gulp, essentially, the more I just enjoyed it. So that's kind of what's gotten me interested in filling in these runs. I want to go to issue number 126, which is where I stopped as a childhood collector. So I want to get that 100% complete before I decide if I want to move on after 126 or not. And certainly the books that I'm showing today are helping me get to that goal. John Romita Jr. did an awesome cover for issue number 63. So we have Bill Mantlo writing the story and Greg LaRocque doing the interior art. Of course, when you have Greg LaRocque, you're going to get some great stuff. I've always been a fan of his work too. The Molten Man is the character, the villain that Spider-Man's contending with. I actually own the Molten Man's first appearance, and it ended up being the first slab I ever owned. I won it as a prize contest. If you go all the way back to Comic Book Editions, volume number 9, you'll be able to find that video. Isn't that crazy? And I have that book, CGC 5.5, which actually isn't bad for that book because that's a black cover, and they're hard to find in nicer shape. So I've always kind of enjoyed the Molten Man. Oh, and by the way, that Amazing Spider-Man, which is issue number 28 that I was talking about, first Molten Man, That's the oldest ASM that I have in my collection, not counting the facsimiles or reprints of issue 1. But Molten Man back here for issue number 63. Issue number 64 of Big Key, the first appearance of Cloak and Dagger. I've had that in my collection for quite some time, courtesy of my friend Comics for Thomas. He gave that to me all the way back in a live AOK unboxing and Comic Book Editions volume 39. So I've been happy to have that book for quite some time. So I showed you 63, I've had 64, and I want to wrap up with issue number 65 for today's video at least. Now we're in January of 1982. Bob Layton did the artwork for this issue. Bill Mantlo, he did the cover rather. Bob Layton did the cover. Bill Mantlo did the story. Bob Hall did the interior art. So here we have Spider-Man taking on Kraven the Hunter, the return of Kraven. First of all, we have a Kraven movie coming, and I'm very excited about that. I really don't watch movie trailers. I don't even know if one is out for the Kraven movie yet. I just know that it's coming. And is it Aaron Taylor Johnson, who played Quicksilver in the first Avengers, who's going to be playing Kraven? I think that could be good casting too. I'm kind of actually really excited about that. I digress. This was a great story. I really like Kraven anyway. I think he's a good villain. Great Spider-Man nemesis, but a really good villain for Tigra. And he's fought Tigra several times in many different comic books that I have in my collection. But I digress. So Kraven is thinking about the revenge that he needs to have on Spider-Man. He kind of feels like he's lost face. So he's plotting out how to get his revenge on Spider-Man, and he sets the plan into motion. There's a problem. As they're battling, Kraven's love interest, Calypso, she interferes unbeknownst to Kraven. And at one point, she damages him with Spider-Man, by throwing a tranquilizer dart. And so he's drugged up, which is why you got this cover like this, because Spider-Man's trying to fight Kraven, and he's fighting off the effects of being drugged up, and he's hallucinating. And when Kraven finds out that Calypso is the one who did this without his approval or even his knowledge, well, that takes everything away for him, because it's not a fair fight then. And he feels like he's losing face. And there's 2 instances in the story where Calypso, and she's trying to do it because she loves Kraven and she wants him to win, but that doesn't gel with Kraven. He kind of has to have, for the hunt, for the game of it, the respect of winning fairly and honestly. And of course he ends up losing again too, because it's not a fair fight because of the things he didn't know that Calypso was going to be doing. Overall, a really good and fun story. Never had read this story before. I don't think I had read any of the stories that I'm showing in today's video before, but I'm certainly glad that I have them in my collection now, because I have enjoyed this, and I can see me going back and rereading this story again sometime in the future. So that wraps up the books that I'm going to share today. I almost can kind of in a way call this a part 1, because I have some more Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man comic books that I've recently bought. I'm in the process of reading them right now and enjoying them. And I want to put together another video with a part 2, and then kind of give you an overview rather of where I'm at in my Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man collecting. Kind of give you an update to that. And I don't want to forget to give a shout out. I don't know if he watches my videos anymore, but Randy, if you still watch on the channel or watch the videos, man, I haven't seen you in such a long time. Our conversations about Spider-Man and Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man and that series, I always think of that when I'm enjoying this title in this book. So shout out to you, Randy. And shout out to you for being an amazing friend and making it almost to the end. We're almost done with my comic book editions video today, spotlighting Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man. I have my back issue of the week YouTube short that dropped yesterday. It's 60 seconds talking about a comic book back issue that's in my collection. If you haven't checked it out already, I hope you'll spend a minute of your time to do so. The greatest DC comic show on YouTube, Fanboys Live, and the Retro Review comes up this Sunday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern, 7:15 p.m. Central on my YouTube channel with Signature King Tony Fett and Comic Food 2814. Join us for the latest DC Comics news, plus our retro review from a great DC comic archive in the past. If you can join in the live chat, it's always fun interacting with you there. But if you're able to watch in the rewind too, that's not taken for granted or forgotten about either. I just appreciate your support and your friendship. Thanks for making it to the end of today's video. Probably see you on that Fanboys Live show this Sunday then. And of course, back next Tuesday for another Comic Book Editions video, as we normally do here on my channel. Until then, take care.